The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. Brothers and sisters, welcome, because we're going to have a very beneficial, very educational broadcast tonight. I'm sure every single last one of you all will enjoy it. I want to shout out to everybody who's been getting all of the pre-likes up. The pre-likes are very important because what the pre-likes do, that's what I call them. I coined that term. Okay, so if you start seeing other people use it, it's fine. I give permission for any and everybody to use it if they want to, because it's a pretty good term. But y'all hear it from me first. Okay, nobody else better claim they took it, stole it, made it. I made it. Pre-likes. The pre-likes, they help because when you guys see the video coming up or the live coming up and you guys hit that like button before the live, what happens is that it helps the live get recommended to other people and pop on other people's timeline before we go live or before the video premieres. What that does is increases the likelihood that, number one, people will find the content, see the content. Number two, people will hit their notifications with that content. And number three, people will see the content while the content is live. So those pre-likes do help. That's why a lot of us, me, Black Alpha, Torian, that's why we tend to set our stuff at least a few hours or so, really the day or some days before, to be honest, because the pre-likes really do help. Let me see. We got a decent amount of people in here already. I appreciate that. We're gonna have a really beneficial broadcast tonight, brothers and sisters. This is gonna be really good. Let me set this up. I appreciate every single last one of you. My laptop a tad bit closer. Okay. Before we do this, it's very important that we do this. Let's define, because we got a lot to cover, but let's define what culture is. And I was looking up some things about what is the best and most solid, accurate definition that can generally be used about culture. Now, this video is not going to be really going into the in-depth things about culture, because there's culture, then there's subculture, there's counterculture. It's a lot of different things which deserve its own video, but we're just going to define culture. All right. So since I couldn't really find a good definition of what culture should be to get it to that definition that we really needed, I just made a definition based off of knowing culture, studying culture. So I was looking and I created my own definition, because if you Google it, there's several different definitions of culture, several. So I developed my own definition, which I feel is literally the most accurate, foolproof, solid definition of culture that nobody can really debunk or refute. All right, here we go. And this is very important because we're going to be using this a lot. So I'm going to show you this. That's why I took the thing off. I'm going to show you this. You guys get to screenshot it and everything. All right. So here it is. Let me move my logo out the way as well, too, so you guys can really get a good look at this. All right. Culture is a societal concept. All right. It's a concept based off of society. We have many different societies that encompasses these are the things, the beliefs, the conduct, the arts, language, and traditions that is collectively permitted and or practiced by a group of people. When you see this is really, and I'm going to go through it. This is pretty much the most accurate definition of culture you will find, period. You're not going to go to a dictionary and find a more accurate definition of culture. And I'm going to tell you why, because I can explain everything about this. All right. The societal concept. We are as foundational Black Americans, and we have some FBA brothers and sisters, salute to them. But as foundational Black Americans living in America, we have a societal concept of our culture that is different from our white counterparts or other ethnic groups of people's counterparts or other nations' counterparts. Okay, it's a concept that is based off of society. Okay, it can be based off of many different things, but it's really based off of a society. All right, societies, there's subgroups, there's sub-societies, there's societies in societies, just like Black American society is a society in American society. And then you have different societies within that. Then you have the Black American Chicago Society, the Black American Atlanta Society, the Black American New York Society, the DC, the Maryland, the California, all of these different things. So it is a societal concept that encompasses these things, the beliefs. These can be religious beliefs. These can be spiritual beliefs. These can be parental beliefs. These can be beliefs about how you raise children. These can be beliefs about a bunch of different things. All right. It doesn't necessarily, is not strictly, oftentimes it is, but it's not strictly and exclusively a religious belief. A lot of times it is. If you go to like different foreign countries, a lot of times their beliefs are centered around their collective religion, you know, but sometimes it's really not. All right. It's not all that time. The conduct, of course, conduct is the behavior, the mannerisms, the way you conduct yourself, the way those groups of people conduct themselves. So when you're growing up and you're taught to hold the door for an old lady, that's a form of conduct that your culture teaches you. When you're taught to not interrupt an adult when they're speaking, that's a form of conduct that you grew up in. Okay, when you taught to take your shoes off or ask if you can walk in the house with your shoes on, that's a form of conduct. The mannerisms and behaviors of society is a form of conduct. All right, that's a part of the culture. Arts can be music, can be literal art, it can be entertainment in general. It can be dress. All of these things are a part of arts. All right, how you express yourself. So the fact that we express ourselves through maybe different clothing, the fact that we're always really ahead of the curve when it comes to our fashion sense, the fact that we're ahead of the curve when it comes to our form of entertainment, the fact that we're ahead of the curve when it comes to our music, all of these things that people start to emulate off of us. Jazz, hip hop, R&B, blues, gospel. Now we're having a big conversation recently about country music. All of these things are a part of our culture because it falls into the arts category. Because arts is essentially really expression. Clothes, what we wear, as far as the clothes being baggy, as far as the clothes being fit, as far as the clothes looking this way, looking that way, these things can fall into art. Of course, our literal art, paint work and all that stuff, that falls into that. Exactly. Rock and roll as well too, house music, all of that stuff, it falls into the arts. Language. I decided to separate language and arts because I feel like language needs its own thing. Different societies, language is about communication. That's why it's different from arts, because language is all about communication. Us as Black Americans, we communicate differently based off of different experiences that we've had. Our lineage has a culture that is different from other people. All right. When you see stuff, when the slang that you hear, that is a part of our language that other people pick up on. All right. Just the fact that when we hug each other, when Black men, when they do the shaking hands with one hand and then wrap your arm around the shoulder, like the hug / handshake, that's really a part of language. Okay. when you're walking across the street and you see another black person and you give the nod, that is a part of language. The fist pump is a part of language. All right. When you throw your fist in the air, that is a part of language. Any type of hand signals or anything like that, even facial expressions, these things are a part of language because it's all a part of communication. All right. And then you have the actual slang when the terms that we use, the fact that we say cool. A lot of these terms that we use today that people don't know are terms that we either came up with or really popularized. So now the public is saying it. Terms like what's up, terms like cool, terms like dope, calling something that's good hot, calling something that's good cold. All of these terms and expressions we came up with. These things are exactly finna. These things are a part of language. The fact that if I could say, if somebody's like, hey, how does it feel outside? And I said, it's cold, but it's not cold. You understand that. Now, if you was to write that in a book and then send that back 100 years ago, that wouldn't make sense. What does cold mean? But because we have a unique language based off of our culture, when we say things like is cold, but it's not cold, you understand what I mean by that, because that's a part of our language based off of our culture. All right. Then traditions could be just the way family conducts itself, the way society treats other people. This can be it can be a lot of different things. This can be the food that you eat, the way that you eat it, the way that you cook it, the way that you serve it. All of these things fall under the category of tradition, So like, for instance, growing up, and I'm sure many of you all experienced the same thing. Growing up, when our family would cook spaghetti, you put everything in one single pot and serve that pot or pan or whatever of spaghetti. You got other households, and you see on cartoons and stuff like that, where they serve the noodles on a plate and then put the sauce on top of a bunch of sauceless noodles. And they put that on the plate. They don't mix it together. It's not pre-mixed. You put the noodles on the plate, then you put the sauce on the plate. Traditionally, we've never eaten spaghetti like that. I remember the first time I went to somebody's like a restaurant or something like that, or something. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, I thought they only did that in cartoons, because I was never used to seeing that. Okay. Having certain foods, cooking certain foods certain ways, the customs of, okay, well, the adults sitting over here, the kids sitting over here, these are all traditions. Now, another important aspect is, it says that is collectively, this is very important because it's going to be brought up, collectively permitted and or practiced by the group of people. Why is that important? That's important because it cannot be considered culture if the group of people reject that form of conduct or belief. If the collective group of people, not one or two, because you're always going to have some outliers, if the collective group of people reject it, okay, if they're opposed to that form of conduct or belief or art or whatever, any of those categories, then it cannot be accepted as culture. All right. For instance, oh yeah, we already got 100 people in the chat room. Y'all already on it. For example, we had a crack epidemic. It was implanted in the community. We did not allow that to become a part of our culture, because even during the height of the crack epidemic, you had people calling it out. It was never a thing where it was accepted. It was never permitted. Okay. Our culture never permitted that to happen. You had Movie artists from Samuel L. Jackson to even Chris Rock, I got to give him his credit, to music artists like Tupac, like Ice Cube, like Dr. Dre, all of them, Nas, all of them shunning the crack epidemic. So it was never incorporated and ingrained into our culture because it was never accepted. It was never permitted. Things that are going on, permitted, accepted, that can be used interchangeably. All right. And it was never collectively practiced by the group of people. So this is, I hope you guys got screenshots and everything, going to be the best definition of culture you're pretty much going to find. You're not really going to find a better definition of culture. All right. And it was very important for us to start off on this page, letting people know that. Okay. So with that being said, we have a thing where people use stereotypes to try to define our culture, to say something's wrong with our culture. And they use that, and it's wrong for them to use it in a certain way. Now, here's the thing. Are there problems and are there things that we need to evolve and are there things that we need to fix? Yes, because culture is not something that always stays the same. A lot of cultures evolve. Some cultures change. There are cultures that we have and traditions that we have 50 years ago that we don't have now. There's things that are being done now that will not be being done 50 years from now. So cultures change, things evolve, things mature. All right. All of these things happen. And when we find flaws and generational curses and things like that, we acknowledge these things. I'm going to be honest, as far as Black Americans go, we tend to acknowledge our flaws more than anybody else. You don't really have a bunch of people really analyzing their own people and making lessons and teaching courses and making books about how we can evolve culture-wise. You don't really have that in other groups of cultures, all right? You don't have like a Shahrazad Ali version of an Asian. You really don't have that. You don't have a Dr. Francis Cress Welsing version of an Italian. You don't have that, the Neely Fuller version of even other people in the diaspora. You don't really have a Neely Fuller version of a Nigerian. You just don't. So we've always had people who look at our culture and analyze it and say, well, there are things in our culture that we need to mature from. All right. I'm going to give an example before we get started, just because we have to understand this in its full proper context. We have always had, and this has been a flaw, we have always had a very inviting and welcoming culture. And it's been used to our detriment. All right. So anytime we started something, we always wanted to invite everybody else in. That was a flaw, and we did it for many different reasons, but it was a flaw. You saw even the Black Panther Party made that flaw. They was inviting white folks, Asian folks, anybody in their mama got to be a Black Panther. And it was a flaw that we were making because culturally, we've been a very inviting group of people. Culturally, in recent times, you've seen a shift in that. So when we're having the conversation, for example, about reparations, now when we're seeing reparations, if we hear the word and, our antennas are going up. When we see the word and, we're all like, and? Why are you saying and? We've become one of the most inclusive people, period, to a very exclusive people. When we're seeing and anything that has to do with us, we're checking that immediately. Anything reparations and black and brown, no, black and people of color, black and minority, black and disenfranchised, black and this. We've turned the word and into a negative bad word, into a taboo word. We don't do the word and, we don't do the word y'all, we don't do anything. That's another one. We don't do any, and that's been a cultural shift. We've culturally made that shift. So these are things that we have been evolving on. There's nothing wrong with analyzing somebody's culture. There's nothing wrong with analyzing your culture and trying to make improvements on it. What is wrong is looking at your culture and using different stereotypes and things that are not true and taking different situations out of its proper context, without its proper historical context, and using that to essentially demonize the culture. Because when you demonize the culture, what you wind up doing is you wind up justifying the subjugation and justifying the mistreatment and the oppression of that group of people, because you're saying that culture is flawed. This is why when you analyze and try to improve the culture, you have to do it correctly. You have to do it in its proper perspective. All right. So with that being said, let me play this because we got to dot our I's and cross our T's before we get into the video. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. I got this lady on here. This is from YouTube. I tagged her in the description, and I put the original video in the description as well too. So I did that. All right. So this is not for bullying purposes or anything like that. I'm not going to talk about her in a personal way, but she's made a video about the culture. Keep in mind, she's not FBA. She's a non-FBA, and she's made a video about quote unquote black culture that we have to analyze. All right. So let's get started.
How did we get here? How did we go from this to this?
Oh, hold on. I got it sped up. I mean, no, because that's okay.
From polished and dignified to sagging pants and bonnets. From songs about upliftment and empowerment to songs about lasciviousness and degeneracy, and this. From spending time with our kids to... As the years go by, we're seeing a greater devolution of Black culture, propped up by communities and politicians determined to sit back and watch the destruction of Black communities. One thing is for certain. Times have changed. No longer do our kids have a healthy fear of authority, parents in the neighborhood. Now it's the parents in the neighborhood that fear the kids. It's the students who now have control of the classroom.
When you teach physics, like Bobby Sinji, you expect students to get frustrated, but never like this.
He got mad and he kind of lost his balance and sort of acted out.
Politicians coddle us and condone our behavior, fearful of criticizing the very constituents who are responsible for their re-election.
I don't appreciate you coming and trying to ambush me here. The vast majority of the young people that came downtown because it was a great weather and an opportunity.
You pretty much get the gist. That's the intro. So we're going to skip a little past the intro, and then we're going to get to the actual Black culture part, because the intro is a little bit long, but you get essentially what she's saying. How do we get from here to here? That's what she's saying.
Culture also includes Caribbean culture.
Now, hold on. This is important before we go.
So I say all that to say this. If you are someone who is bothered by someone's difference of opinions and thoughts, and you don't like having your faults called out by someone who is not American, then this is not the video for you. Just log off. Black culture as a whole is not degenerate. And for those of you who are watching and you think that Black culture is simply African American culture, you are wrong. Because Black culture also includes Caribbean culture, African culture, South American culture, European culture. There are Black people all over the world, and they have their culture and their mores. So it's not just American culture that we're referring to. So now that that's out of the way.
Okay, let me address that first. We're not going to do that. That's what we are not going to do. We're not going to play that game, because you're in America. You're in North America, the United States of America. Majority of the Black people here are Black Americans from chattel slavery in the United States of America. So when you talk about Black culture in America, you're talking about Black American culture. The same way, if I was to go to Nigeria, if I was to go to Jamaica, if I was to go to Haiti, if I was to go to any of these other countries where majority of the Black people there are non-FBA, and I say Black culture, I would be specifying their culture. Now, the reason why she prefaced that is because of the fact that we have a thing where now we've switched it to where every person who is Black, because she is Black, everybody who is Black cannot just speak on the culture here. So she had to start her video off specifying like, hey, I'm not a Black American, but we all have the same culture. No. We have a very different history in this country. We have different traditions, we have different beliefs, we have different arts, different languages. By the definition of culture, our culture is very different. We share the commonality of being Black people on the planet Earth, all right? But culturally, we behave very differently, all right? And what I don't like is the fact that she's going to say, well, we're all in this culture thing, but when folks talk about Black culture, they're not going to single out or specify any of these other groups of people from the diaspora. They're going to put it on Black with the not even emphasizing, it's like the implication of Black American. Because when you say Black in America, the implication is Black American 100% of the time. All right. Just like when you say white in America, the implication is a white American. When you say white in America, you're not thinking about somebody from the Ukraine. You're not thinking about somebody from Germany. You're not thinking about somebody from Russia. You're not thinking about somebody from Italy. You're not thinking about somebody from there. You're thinking about a white American. So when you say Black in America, you're thinking about a Black American. The first thing that pops in your head is not a Jamaican, is not a Nigerian, is not a South American, is not a Haitian, it's not an Egyptian, is not none of those people. It's a Black American. So we have to clear that up, because you can't just combine it all and say, well, we're all Black, so it's Black culture. No, you can't do that. All right. White people don't say, well, this is white culture. We got white American culture, then we have Italian culture, then we have Irish culture, then we have Polish culture. No, it's not the same. Asians don't do that. Oh, Japanese culture, Hong Kong, Korea, China, Indian, they're all the same. No, nobody else does that. And we can't do that either. We can't just combine all of the cultures and say, well, we're all Black. So, no. Starting off wrong. All right. So we have to clear that up real early. Now, let's continue. I had to make sure I addressed that part.
Wait, let's get into the crux of the video. I remember growing up and seeing Black people taking so much pride in who they were and what they stood for. Just to see Black people in their element when I was growing up was something special. I saw people who were well-read, who were educated, who were sophisticated, who were polished, and honestly, almost regal. But it seems somewhere down the line, our culture just started to become incredibly degenerate. I don't know the nexus of it, but it's just been going downhill for a number of decades. And I know that without serious condemnation and intervention, things are only going to get worse for us. I'm going to start with the low-hanging fruit here, and I'm going to start with how we just stopped caring about our parents. When you look back at men and women in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s, I think there was just something so elegant about the way that we carried ourselves. Even though a lot of Black people were not rich, they didn't have a substantial means, they didn't have the finest threads. You just look at the way that they dressed, you could tell that there was a great deal of pride in the way they looked. They wanted to show people that, hey, we are elegant people, we are decent people. And at that time, a lot of people viewed Black people as less than their white counterparts. Even when you look in the 70s and you saw those men and those women with their big afros, there was such a huge sense of pride in the way that they looked. And you could tell by the way they walked down the street that they wanted to look fresh, they wanted to look clean. So we've always been interested in looking nice as a people. Today, the landscape is completely unrecognizable. I see Black women going outside with bonnets on. They not just to the food store either. I'm talking about in government buildings and offices. They're wearing these bonnets. pajamas, just attire that really should be left at home. Men are walking around with sagging pants or wife beaters. It looks like some of them just rolled out of bed. I like to share my stories. I know some of you are like sick of my stories, but I'm an observer. I'm always watching what people are doing, how they're acting in public. And so I like to share these stories just to kind of drive the point home. I remember being in JFK Airport. I was there with family members, and we were waiting at the carousel for our luggage to come. And these two Black girls were standing there in pajamas, these huge silk bonnets or satin bonnets on their heads, and fuzzy slippers. It looked like they just rolled out of bed and not just came off of a plane. And if that weren't bad enough, as everybody's standing there waiting for their luggage, this girl proceeds to take out a toothbrush and put toothpaste on her toothbrush. And she started brushing her teeth at the carousel. And I looked over and I saw some Black folks just looking, and you can see the condemnation in their eyes. You could see the internal head shake. I looked over, I saw some white people just watching, and just their eyes were just on them. But these are the things that we do. And what always bothers me is that we...
Okay, no, let me stop this right there. First off, y'all calling it out in the chat room. She's saying we a lot. She's saying we like she is speaking French. Saying we a lot. Now, here's the thing. Number one, remember when I said earlier, the definition of culture is going to be very important, because I said it is the collective, it's a very important part, the collective approval, the collective permission approval, which same thing, of a group of people. If a woman, let's say she's telling 100% the truth. If a woman at the airport, at the carousel, is brushing her teeth, and the Black people around do not approve, you cannot say that that woman is doing something indicative of the culture, because other people around are not doing that thing, are disapproving of that, which means they are rejecting her conduct, her behavior, which means it is not a part of the culture. What we need to stop doing is, if one hood rat, if one Pookie or Ray Ray, when they do something wrong, when one of them do something wrong, then, oh my God, what is wrong with Black culture? What is wrong with you guys? We got to do something. Our culture is so degenerate. No, the collective majority has to either accept that behavior or practice that behavior. If they don't do either of those things, it is not a part of the culture. You can't cherry pick little hood rats and little dusty dudes and then say, well, that's a part of the culture because he's Black. No, that it don't count. All right, that's number one. She just counted herself by the definition of culture. Number two, all of the wearing the sagging pants and the bonnets and stuff like that. Let's be honest. What I don't like is the fact that we tend to have these conversations out of context, out of the context of the dress style in America, period, has changed. Nobody is leaving the house dressed the way they were, whether you're white or Black. Nobody is leaving their house the way they were in the 1940s. So when you take pictures of Black people from the 1940s and 50s, and then you take pictures of Black people from the Crenshaw in 2010 and be all like, man, what is going on? Where did our culture fall off? You can't say that. Look at white people, because nobody says this about white people. Look at the way white people used to dress and then the way white people dress now. The average white man is not leaving his house on a regular basis in just a suit and tie. That's not what's going on, unless he has some type of job where he has to wear that, which the same thing a Black person. If a Black person has a job where they have to wear a suit and tie or business attire, the average person is just not casually wearing business attire like the average person used to. So the fact that we overemphasize our dress being more casual and our emphasis in streetwear, because as Black Americans, are part of our art, which is the dress, is we have a unique style of streetwear. All right. That's not necessarily being ghetto or sagging or wearing bonnets, but our casual wear, or what we wear every day just to go to the store and everything like that, is different. So you can't say, oh, look how far we fell from grace. No, cultures change, things shift. Everybody, the average person is not walking around in a suit and tie anymore. That's just not what's going on. All right. You got white folks who sit up there and they be dressing in weird shorts and be dressing really weird, but nobody's emphasizing the decline in the dress style of white people or anybody else. So let's not and I'm not saying you can't criticize how we conduct ourselves. I'm not saying that, or how we dress, but let's not take it out of context, because I'm gonna be very honest with you. The overly sagging of the pants, niggas don't do that no more. You really don't see that anymore. You don't really see the super sagging pants like you saw like in 2010 and you don't really see that. I'm gonna be honest with you again. You don't really see black women wearing bonnets casually like you did a few years ago. But a few years ago, when you went to the airport, you would see it. And I'm not saying you won't ever see it. You don't really see it like that. You don't really see black men walking around with do-rags. When's the last time you just saw a black dude walk? If you saw a black dude walking around with do-rag, you would think like, damn, he's kind of out of touch, because where do we do that at now? So there are certain instances where, you have phases. We had like a sag in the pants phase. I'm not approving of it, but it happened. We had like a little bonnet phase. That's fading away. We had a do-rag phase. That's fading away. You had a phase where you walk around in wife beaters. That's fading away. Except for like the trenches in the hood. The average black FBA person is not dressed like that. All right. So let's put that into context. Yeah, you would think that person's fresh out of prison the way they were dressing. Exactly. That's a good point. You would not think that, because the average FBA is not dressed like that at all, man or woman. But let's continue.
Always have someone who will justify that type of behavior. They think there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't know if these individuals are trolling, or if they are just poorly socialized, or they might be people who do those things so they get upset when someone calls another person out, because that is what they do. I roll my eyes every time I see a young man with the pants hanging down to the point where their underwear and sometimes the butt crack is exposed. And I've walked behind so many men just looking at their butt cracks. It's like, what are you doing? You're outside in public and you're dressed like this. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be fashionable. I know that fashions change over the years, and I'm certainly no prude, but I also don't want to see your butt crack, and I don't want to see your underwear. Every time I see a black man, teenager, young preteen, whomever, or grown man with their pants sagging, I always think about this show that I watched years ago called Lock Up. There was a guy on that program, and I'm sure many of you know him or have seen him at least. His name is Fleece Johnson. He looks like an incarcerated Samuel L. Jackson, if you've ever seen him. And I think the Boondocks at one point made fun of him, or, spoofed him or something like that. But anyway, he spent 4 decades in prison. I think he may still be in prison. And he talked about these young men that would come into the prison with their pants sagging, and why he loved when they did that. It gave him and his cohorts a peek at what those young men were working with. And they knew what they wanted just based on what they saw with their pants hanging.
I like booty. They got this thing where they sag their pants past their butt. It's a style. They call it some sort of gangster style. It's sexy to us, right? And see,
now we can fast forward past that, because the overly sagging of the pants, we understand where that comes from when you put it in proper context. I've never done that. There's many of you in the chat room who've never done that, and that's something that you don't really see. Like, when you look at the images that she's putting up, you don't really see that. You really don't see that like that. Not at least to the degree she's talking about. So we're going to fast forward a little bit, or she's almost done. She's going to move on.
So
but
you sag your pants and her, man, somebody be
this is like the outdated stereotype that we got going on.
Every time I see a black man with his pants sagging, I immediately think about fleece. Let's talk about our treatment of women, how we treat our women. I am a firm believer that a man is supposed to love and respect a woman, but I see that there are so many black men who just don't know how to do that. They are very disrespectful towards women. I've never seen an Asian man calling his girlfriend or his child's mother or his wife the B word. I've never seen it. A lot of our men will
Now, I think it's interesting because I got a little clip. I got a little clip I want to play because I feel like what she just said right then and there was very interesting. Do you guys understand how in a lot of these, especially, it's very interesting. She said Asian. Do you understand how in a lot of these Asian cultures, how they be treating their women? If you understood that, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say something that might rub some people the wrong way. As far as foundational Black Americans, there is not a group of people in the world who culturally treats their women better than we do. That's just it. Name one. Name a group, a cultural group of people who treat their women with more respect, reverence, and dignity than we do, culturally and historically. You really can't. You damn sure can't go to Asia. Look at this. I want you to see this clip real quick. Okay. Let me make it bigger. This is a bride and a groom. They literally just got married. So, you know, they're playing a game where they're unwrapping some confetti, and whoever wins first, you know, they win. It's just who can wrap the confetti the fastest. So the man and the woman, they're both playing this game. Just watch how this goes. Okay. She beats him. She unwraps it faster than he does. Okay, now look at this. This Asian dude, because he's mad that she's still in her wedding dress. She's literally still in her wedding dress. And this man just hits her because he's upset. She beat him in a game, not disrespecting him, not cheating on. Just she beats him in a game, and he was upset and just pops her in the head casually. And notice it's awkward silence, and nobody does nothing. This happens in Asian culture all the time. Nobody does nothing and nobody would do anything. This happens in Asian cultures all of the time. Okay? Do you know the reason why there's the shirt that you call wife beater? Do you know why that shirt is called wife beater? You can look it up if you want further confirmation of this. The reason why that undershirt, which is what it's called, the undershirt is called a wife beater. Before, some people will refer to it as an A shirt because you had the A shirt, which is kind of shaped in the A shape. Then you had the T shirt, which is shaped in the T, like the letter shape. It started to be called a wife beater because white men would be wearing that shirt when they would beat their wives, and it would be such a cultural thing that they would start depicting it in movies and stuff like that, of the drunken, angry man who would beat his wife when he got home, or he would beat his wife when he got too drunk. It started to become a thing in white culture, white American culture, for a man in that type of shirt to beat his wife. That's why that shirt started to be called a wife beater. So when you talk about the way we treat women, okay, if you want to say we can do better, all right, but let's put that into its proper context. Don't you dare say, well, I have never seen Asians mistreat their women. Are you serious? Are you serious? You have other places in the world where you can literally, you see, I'm not going to show it, but you can literally see videos of grown men, a group of grown men jumping a woman, a group of grown men jumping one single woman and recording it and doing this all the time. You be seeing this stuff on like Instagram and stuff like, oh, this woman was flirting with another man, so her husband and his brothers all beat her up. They be beating women up, shaving their heads and beating them with sticks and stuff. You don't see that in Black America. In Black America, we don't do that. I don't care if it's the hoodest, most gangster dude from nowhere. You could never ever find the most hoodest, thugged out gangster straight from prison talk about go to his dudes, his brothers or whatever, even in a fellow gang, and say, hey, my girlfriend cheated on me, so we're gonna jump her. So I want you and a whole bunch of other guys to come with me. You're gonna record it, and we're gonna just be picking up sticks and bricks, and we're gonna go jump my girlfriend. You would never see that. If any of y'all, I don't care if y'all had blood brothers that y'all grew up with, y'all best friends, y'all cousins, y'all ride or die, if they called you and said, hey, my girl cheated on me, I want you to help me beat her up, you would like say, I think you might need some help. You need to calm down. Don't do that. Don't hit your girl, whatever. Y'all need to break up or whatever the case is. There never do we say, well, yeah, let's as collectively as grown men get together and jump a girl, jump a woman. Never, never, never. But you see in other groups of people culturally, and why I say culturally is because this is a conduct that is condoned and accepted among the collective group of people. That's something that is not accepted and condoned among Black America. It's not. So if you want to talk about us and our culture and how we need to do better, let's just put that into context. All right. Because I'm not going to sit here and allow that. I'm not going to sit here and this is how they're being treated. This is how they treat their women. And we get told, well, I would never see an Asian person call his woman the B word. Would you rather a man call you the B word or pick up a brick and hit you with the brick? Can we get deep? There's a reason. Let's be honest. We're going to get really deep, y'all. There's a reason. Remember like a year or so ago when that woman faked being hit in the head with a brick? There's a reason why we specified, hey, that's not FBA. We don't get down like that. We don't get rejected and then pick up a brick or rock or anything and then hit a woman outside the club. You don't see that. And that's why that situation went so viral, because culturally that's not accepted. Culturally, that's not how we conduct ourselves. So that's why that situation went viral. If that happened in Asia, it wouldn't have gone viral because that's kind of normal. Can we say that? Can we go there? If that happened in other countries, it wouldn't have gone viral because that's normal behavior. I dare to say if that happened where she's from, oh, we got 300 people in here. Shout out to 300 people in here. Let's get those likes up. I dare say if that happened where she's from, it wouldn't have gone viral because that's normal and accepted behavior. Okay, even if they don't agree with it or practice it, they allow it and they permit it by not calling it out. It went viral here because we call it out. That's why. All right. So let's put that into context. But let's continue.
Disrespect our women and hurt them emotionally or physically sometimes both. And they see nothing wrong with it. And it's not condemned in the community. A lot of times if a woman is beaten, people say she deserved to get beaten. She looked for that because she did X, Y, Z, or she's
not in Black America. No. Maybe in your homeland, yeah, y'all be making excuses all the time. In these foreign lands, yeah, but see, this is the problem when she started it off by trying to mix all of the different cultures. When she said, well, everybody in the world who is Black, they're a part of Black culture. No, this is that problem. because the way we treat women is very different from how y'all treat women in these other places outside of America. So you can't say, well, when our women get beaten, we make excuses for it. Where do we make excuses for that? Where?
Is annoying or whatever. It's incredibly sad because I look at these women and you can tell that they just don't even know what love is. They don't know how love is supposed to feel or how someone's supposed to act when they love them. You could just see it in their eyes. So last year I was driving on the highway. For those of you who don't know, I live here in Washington, D.C. And I saw something I'd never seen in my entire life. I was driving along the highway and it was like kind of like a bridge portion. But there were like 5 lanes of traffic. And just driving home from the salon, and all of a sudden I see cars just hitting brakes. Every car just kind of like, and they're hitting brakes so hard that they're like diverging, like they're just going boom, 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 to left, right, some just veering off. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Because we were like on I can't remember if it was a bridge or an overpass kind of thing. And I was like, I wonder if the bridge collapsed or something for people to just be hitting the brakes like that. I finally saw what was happening. This black guy was beating the crap out of this black woman. I watched him pull her out of the car and she kept running back to the car. She had a baby in her hand and he took this woman and he was grabbing her and flinging her into traffic. So that's why the cars, I guess every time she ran off, he would pull her back. So that's why the cars were kind of like going hither, thither, and yon, trying to avoid hitting her. And he beat her so bad on that highway that her top was off. Her breasts were exposed. You could see her underwear because her pants were off or her skirt, whatever. So she was topless and it was just her underwear. And the baby is crying and somebody else is trying to calm this guy down and he's just losing it on a highway, broad daylight. I'm calling 911 and the operator is saying, ma'am, everyone is calling us right now. We're sending units. Yes, we know exactly where it is. If this guy was bold enough to do that in broad daylight on a highway, what is he doing behind closed doors? Researchers say in the US,
Now, before she gets into that, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a really messed up situation. Gotta be honest with you. I've never ever heard of that story, period, until she said it. You think a story like that would be viral on the news? I don't know when because she didn't date it, but I don't know when that situation happened. I have never heard of that story of a black man beating a black woman up in traffic, trying to throw her and a baby into. I've never heard of that story. I've literally never heard of that story, and there's no way to confirm this is true. She oftentimes, if you notice this, and then she had the baby crying. You're right. She had the baby crying in the background. Oftentimes, if you notice, she'll just cite certain examples. Just notice she tends to cite these very anecdotal examples of, well, I experienced this and I saw this and I saw this and I saw this. Things that she cannot confirm, gives no confirmation with at all. She can't confirm these things that she keeps claiming that she's seen. Let's say, though, this wild, crazy, deranged black man is doing, okay, let's say that is true. We don't know where he's from. We don't know we don't know if he FBI or not. We don't know that. And if you call the police, this is why I say the definition of culture is important, because if you call the police and the police is telling you that, ma'am, we already have several other people calling, several other people have called, that means several other people have seen what you've seen and are looking at this situation as problematic and have called the police to stop it. So that means it can't be indicative of the culture because it's not accepted. It's not permitted. That is not what we have permitted in the culture. It's being rejected because these people are calling the police. If she's telling the truth, we're just going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Even if she was, you can't say because of what one deranged dude is doing, it's indicative of the culture. No, it's not. Because if everybody around is rejecting that and is shunning that and is trying to stop that, it can't be indicative of the culture. Because I'm be honest, in other, and it sounds dark, but in other groups of people, other races and ethnic groups of people, they can literally just delete women in broad daylight. They can just like throw her into traffic and then walk home. They can do that. Like you've literally seen, or I've seen, and I'm not gonna show you, but they can literally do that. So these things that she's trying to make it seem like is indicative of the culture is not. All right, is not. Let's continue. Now she talks about domestic violence, all right, which is a serious topic, but it's a topic that, like I keep saying, needs to be had in its proper context.
Blacks are the most likely to experience domestic violence, either male to female or female to male, followed by Hispanic people and then white people. And the numbers are still extremely high despite low reporting. Asians, unsurprisingly, are the least likely to experience intimate partner violence. And
You mean these Asians? These Asians right here? I don't want to keep playing the clip, but these are the Asians. She likes Asians. She really likes Asians because she keeps bringing them up in reverence. These are the Asians that she be talking about, man. These Asians, they don't have Asians don't be, man, if only y'all knew. These are the Asians that she's referring to, y'all. Okay. Those are the Asians. Those Asians are the ones that we need to model how we treat our women and how we treat our relationships by. Those Asians, all right? Just keep that in mind. And I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial, and this might be hard to prove. So I'm going to say this is what I believe. I don't think, honestly, that Black Americans commit more not interracial, but I don't think we commit any more like partner violence. I don't think we commit that at any higher rate than other groups of people. I don't believe that. I believe that we report our incidents at a higher rate than other groups of people. But based off of domestic abuse, yeah, I'm gonna say that. But based off of history and the way we treat women just on a regular casual basis, I don't think that we have a higher rate of domestic abuse than any other group of people. I think we report on it more than other groups of people, even though there are a lot of incidents that are unreported. I think that there are a lot more incidents that are underreported in other groups of people, because other groups of people culturally, they accept that type of behavior. Culturally, we don't accept that type of behavior. So culturally, we would report on those situations and instances more often than other groups of people. So when you look at the numbers, you're going to look at, well, y'all report on it way more than all of these other groups of people. But when you look at how they casually treat women throughout the day, you can see, okay, these people more than likely commit way higher domestic violence than Black people do, Black Americans do. I just think, and I can't prove it because you can't prove unreported numbers, so I can't prove it, but I genuinely believe that we just honestly culturally reject it and report on it more than other groups of people. So let's put that, and I'm not saying it's okay to any degree. I'm not saying it's okay to any degree. Nobody should be putting their hands on anybody. But let's put this into its proper context. We have to put it in this proper context, all right? So let's continue.
And according to a United Nations report, and they assembled a number of studies, domestic violence against women is most prevalent in Ethiopia, and up to 2/3 of women in certain communities in Nigeria's Lagos state say they are the victims of domestic violence.
Oh, that's not FBA. It's not that Ethiopia, Nigeria. It's the cultural norm over there. I was just saying that. So yeah, don't all mix us in. Don't mix us in, because we don't be doing how y'all be doing. Don't mix us in.
So this happens in so many different Black communities throughout the world. I want to talk about the
No. You're not gonna do that and then just move past that. No, you're not gonna do that and then just move past that. No. Oh, this happens in so many different Black communities throughout the world. Ma'am, no, stop doing that. No. No. Domestic abuse is a problem globally. Every ethnic group of people have that problem. That's a problem globally. We're not going to act like this is a rare racial problem. We're not going to act like that. All right. And what we're not going to do is take y'all really overinflated numbers of domestic violence and then combine that with us and then say, look at the problem we all have. No. Y'all go over there and y'all do that. Y'all don't fuse y'all problems with us because y'all don't like to fuse y'all success. Y'all don't like to fuse y'all intelligence and all that stuff. Because when y'all want to talk about Nigerians, we make up so many great doctors and great internships and all. Y'all specify and y'all separate and y'all delineate and y'all make sure that y'all keep y'all W's to yourself. But then when it comes to L's, the whole Black diaspora got to hold it. No, we done with that. You go talk to Ethiopia, you go talk to Nigeria, you go talk to them. Don't try to fuse that with us and say, look at how our culture is. No. Then she just moves past that because she really can't hold that argument.
sexualization of Black women in our community. I don't know the genesis of it. I don't know where it started, but it's extremely rampant in the Black community. I'm not going to blame everything on hip hop because I feel like a lot of it predates hip hop. But what I do know is that when we see some of our favorite performers on screen, on TV, or on an award show performing very lasciviously, dressed lasciviously, performing lewdly, that it does have an impact on our young girls. It does have an impact on our women. I feel like it opens people's minds up and lets them know it's okay to do these things. It's okay to be free with your body. It's okay to be liberal and liberalized. There are some Black women who think it is cute and they say it with pride to call themselves a B word or to call themselves hoe. Then you have women like Corinne Steffens saying this.
And now you have a problem. Because now you have a wife who you're married to, obviously, and then there's children, then there's a house, and there's 50-50, and then there's divorce court. And now you're losing everything you built, all because you didn't marry the kind of woman you should have married in the first place, which is a woman that's going to knock your socks off every day when you come home from work. Marry the slut.
Or you have Amber Rose proudly boasting of her campaign, which is dubbed the Slut Walk. For many women.
All right. Now let's address this. Amber Rose don't know if she's Black or not. She's Black one day, she's not Black one day. She don't want to be Black, she want to be Black. So we not gonna sit up here and cite Amber Rose as if she's the representative of Black America. No. Okay. And you can talk about, well, women, they dress a certain way and it's all sexual and all that stuff. Okay. All right. But let's say this. Because what you can't do, and this is something that we need to stop doing, what can't be done is you can't mix the entertainers. Like, you can't cite people like, and this needs to stop. Well, because what we have done that really is bad is that we have allowed people to make it to where there's no separation between the average collective people and then the celebrity class of people. We've allowed it to where the celebrity class of people, they somehow are the representatives of the collective of the group of people. And it's not that way for any other group of people. Where their celebrity class, even Malcolm X have talked about this, where the celebrity class, they're like at the forefront of the community. Their entertainers are at the forefront of the community. Okay. Now, notice only when it's negative. Now, not the doctors, not black doctors, not black lawyers, not black nurses, not black dentists, not black businessmen and women, not black entrepreneurs, not black, none of that stuff. These people, they're not the representatives of the community, how the community dresses, how the community conducts itself. These people don't get to be the representatives of the community, but you're going to look at Megan Thee Stallion, you're going to look at Sexy Red, and you're going to look at them and you're going to see like, oh, let's see, this is a cultural problem. This is a cultural problem. No, you can't combine celebrity class and then make it seem like the celebrity class are the representatives of the collective group of people. No, because you don't do that with nobody else. Nobody else is sitting up there. No, you can't do that. No. All right. And because it's just not, like I said, if we go back to the definition, I said it has to be permitted and or practiced. The way you see Sexy Red behaving is not permitted in practice by the average Black American woman. So you can't say her behavior is indicative of the culture, because what she does and the way she conducts herself is not indicative of the common collective practices of the average Black American woman. All right. So we got to stop doing that. So let's continue though.
Still an incredibly hurtful thing. It's an embarrassing thing to be dubbed a slut. But for some women, they say, I'm going to take back my power and own it. I don't see power in that. What are you owning? I feel like a lot of the behaviors that we exhibit happen because we just stopped being ashamed. Shame is a very powerful and useful tool sometimes because it does curb behavior. Singer Monica has a song. It's an old song called Like This and Like That. I'm sure many of you who are fans of Monica remember that song. It's an upbeat song. And in the song, she features a rapper known as Mr. Malik. But there's a line in that song that just always just resonated with me. He said, only ones with no class, the ones with no shame. People who are classless and they don't care about being classless, they have no shame. I want to talk about how we have a tendency to glorify criminal behavior in our community. And even worse, we make excuses for it. Oftentimes,
yeah, like I said, she is speaking a lot of French because she is saying we a lot. She's saying we a lot.
In rap music, hip hop music, or violent films or violent TV shows and the Black community. And I've heard community activists, community leaders saying, oh, the community and these young children are seeing what they or imitating what they see on TV. Is it a case of life imitating art? Or are these things happening in the communities and art is imitating life? We also have this no snitch culture that feeds into our criminality. I did a video on this last year. And if you haven't watched that, please click above and watch that video, because I remember just being really upset by the fact that there was a guy who I profiled in the video who was like, even if something were to happen to my friend, if he were hurt and I knew who did it.
I'm going to fast forward this because she starts referencing another video that we're not going to show here and I haven't seen, so we're going to just fast forward that a little bit.
I've been inside of these pharmacies and watched Black men and women come in with their knapsacks, their backpacks, and walk through the aisles and just go shopping. And then they walk out, and I would see other patrons who were there online saying, you're not going to stop them. And the poor associates are like, we're not allowed to do anything. So I'm standing in line like the fool to pay. The fool, while they just went shopping and they walked right out. Why the hell am I standing in line to pay if it's a free for all? Now, luckily, I might say that to you, but I'm not going to go and steal. But somebody else is going to be watching that and say, well, if things are free here, why am I standing in line? I might as well go and do what I have to do. And then you have these community activists and these politicians who will come out and say, no, they're stealing for survival. Oh, that doesn't always happen. It's not always about survival. I could certainly understand. I'm not so locked in my rigidity that I couldn't understand if someone stole food. Stealing is wrong, 100%. But if I saw a man who looked destitute stealing water, I might have a little bit more sympathy. No, I might have a lot more sympathy because he's stealing water. Water is a necessary thing. We need water to live. But that doesn't always happen. There were these two women who were on the screen who the news reported as stealing out of Ulta Beauty, stealing cosmetics. I've seen people stealing these NYX products and ELF products. How is that a necessity? Or this guy who was stealing Bud Light. How is that a necessity? And that's what I'm talking about when I say how we excuse bad behavior. There's seldom any condemnation, or if it is, it's very low and it's very quick. Oh, I know some people steal, but you know, the vast majority, okay, but we're not talking about the vast majority. We know the vast majority of people are law-abiding citizens. Let's talk about the people who are problematic and who are making it hard for everybody else. Because you know what happens when that person keeps stealing, that small percentage of people keep stealing? We lose these Walgreens and these CVSs. And
now, I'm gonna stop it right there, and I let her go. I let her go, just so you can get the full understanding of what she's talking about. Now, here's the thing. The reason why you see people have an issue is because shoplifting is a thing that people say majority of us don't do, but you guys say it in a way, and the implication is in a way that the culture does it. The culture condones shoplifting. Y'all got this big thing when it comes to shoplifting. So what we're going to do is, because we're going to be very thorough. We have to be very thorough. So what we're going to do, brothers and sisters, is we're going to look at some data about shoplifting. We're going to look at some statistics about shoplifting. And this comes from, where did I get this from? Let me see. This comes from the National Library of Medicine. And I like the National Library of Medicine for many reasons, because they show exactly how they got to where they got. They show how they got to their conclusion. So when you look at the data from the National Institute of Medicine, all right, when you look at this, they show a whole bunch, a long list of things. They show how the study was conducted, the interview, all of that stuff, the sample size, all of the data, and then they show the results. So this is shoplifters to non-shoplifters. It says right here, the socio-demographic characteristics of individuals with and without a lifetime history of shoplifting in the national what the hell that word is? Epidemiologic survey on alcohol and related conditions. Now, when you look at this, you see men, women, but when you look at race, white, and this is for the shoplifters at the top, shoplifters right here. All right. From the study, the shoplifters, non-shoplifters. Now, when you go down and you see white, the shoplifters, based off the study, make up 77.5% of shoplifters, compared to the black shoplifters that make 8.72%. I'm not lying to y'all. I'm not making this up. It's not like we're saying, well, you know, black people, white people do it more. I'm showing you. I'm literally showing you the data that white people make up over 70% of the shoplifters. Close to 80% of shoplifters, and black people make less than 10. Black folk make less than 10. And nobody ever says that white people got a shoplifting problem. Nobody ever tries to associate white culture with shoplifting. Never does that happen, under no circumstance. When they do it, oh, it's kids being kids, or you know, people fall into temptation. They don't ever make it seem like that's indicative of the culture. I'm literally showing you. And then when you look at the non-shoplifters, right? These are the shoplifters to non-shoplifters. All right. You have 70% of them who are the non-shoplifters who did it. And then you have this who haven't. And then you have these amounts of black people who have done it, and then less who have. So you have, I want you to look at this in full context. This is who has, and then this is who hasn't. This is who has of black, And then this is who has of non-black, or this is who have not of non-black. You have more white people who have than have not shoplifted. You have less black people who have shoplifted than black people who have shoplifted. Less black people shoplifted than the ones who have not. A higher percentage of black people don't shoplift in comparison to the one that do, and a higher percentage of white people do shoplift in a comparison to the ones that don't, based off this study. And you don't ever say to white people, well, you know, shoplifting is a part of white culture. White people have a white culture problem where they're always stealing. White people have a thievery problem. White people have a stealing problem. It's indicative of their culture. Nobody makes that argument at all, that you should put shoplifting at the feet of white people and hold them accountable for it at all, ever. But you want to do that to black people. This is why you have to look at the problem in its proper context. You have to look at it in its proper context, brothers and sisters. All right. Or else you're not going to fix the problem. You're just going to repeat a bunch of stereotypes that you've heard. Now, let's get back to the video. Play this right here. All right.
And the Walmarts. And then people like me and you who are law abiding have to go and travel further out to get what we need to get. And it might be okay for us because we have cars, but what about elderly people or younger
we're just
people
going to fast
who
forward
can't
a little
afford
bit.
that stuff, who don't have them constantly? And then you're being fed a diet of bad rap lyrics,
I'm
misogynistic
take it back.
thing, and you don't have positive influences to counter those things. So if you are in a toxic environment, you are in a negative environment constantly, and then you're being fed a diet of bad rap lyrics, misogynistic lyrics, violent lyrics, then what's going to happen? You become a product not only of your environment, but of what you have fed yourself. You've sated yourself on those things. But if you're listening to rap and you have positive influences around you, a positive environment, parents who were there, you understand very clearly that this is entertainment. And once I turn this radio off, that's it. I'm back to doing what I need to do. But if that is all you're exposed to, then that's going to become a permanent part of your psyche. Last year, again, and I do all types of videos on my channel. I encourage you all to go through my playlist. But I did a video of Sexy Red, this rapper who visited a school here in the United States to give out bundles of hair and haircuts to some students. And I talked about how she was welcomed by the students and the faculty at this school. And I questioned why she was even invited to speak to these children, considering the types of lyrics that she puts, the type of music that she puts out and the lyrics that she puts out. And I'm not going to rehash that video. Please go and watch it so you can see for yourself. But I said in that video that I don't think Sexy Red, and I'm pretty sure that she would have never been invited to come and speak or even be in the presence of a lot of students had it been a private school. It was a public school, and it was a public school that had a huge population of Black kids. But this just goes to show you that we don't even value our children to want to expose them to the right things. We don't care about our kids. I was in a beauty supply store in Southeast DC.
Okay, let's stop there. We're gonna stop there. Let's stop there. Because she brought up the Sexy Red and how Sexy Red went to a school, and apparently we don't care about our kids because Sexy Red went to a school. So, okay, we're gonna stop there, and let's look at the situation. Let's put it into its proper perspective. So, going through in this, because the parents were very outraged about that situation. When you look at this, and we're not going to go through the whole thing, just a little bit. Sexy Red responds to backlash following appearance at St. Louis High School. All right. This is right after she went to the school that this lady is claiming we don't care about our kids because we allowed Sexy Red. The school faculty allowed Sexy Red to welcome in the school. So that shows that we don't care about our own children. Oh, hold on. Try to zoom it in a little bit. It says, Sexy Red is under scrutiny after attending a high school in her hometown, which is why she probably was invited to the high school, because she's a celebrity now and that's her hometown. It's not like schools are requesting Sexy Red. That's probably her hometown. It's more than likely where she went to high school. She probably attended that high school, and that's probably why she was invited back, because she probably went there. Let's put that into its proper perspective. Then it says, where she threw the middle finger up in upon her entrance. Viewers and parents later voiced their disapproval with her actions. Viewers and parents later voiced their disapproval with her actions. So the parents of the kids in this school, in this high school, disapproved, and they called it out, and Sexy Red faced a lot of backlash for that. So you got to put it into context. You can't say, well, she appeared at a high school and that's indicative of the fact that parents don't care about their kids. No, you can't say that, because the parents were unaware that Sexy Red was going to show up. And when the parents found the videos and the clips of Sexy Red showing up, the parents were outraged. The parents went to the school. The parents got at this faculty. They called out Sexy Red. They called out the faculty and other people, not just parents. It says viewers as well too. So viewers looked at that, and viewers culturally said, hey, that's not appropriate. She shouldn't be there. So you can't look at that situation and say, well, yeah, that's just the thing that the culture does. You can't do that, because culturally what she did was shunned. So you got to put that in its proper context. You can't sit up there and say, well, your parents don't care because that happened. The parents weren't aware. The parents didn't know. And when the parents found out about it, the parents called it out. What do you expect them to do? Clearly, it was the faculty who did that. And the parents were not aware of that. The parents were not abreast of that. Let's continue, though. This is why you got to say, when you attempt to correct the culture, you better come correct.
I'm looking around, I'm seeing little girls, with shopping with their mothers or their grandmothers, picking up barrettes and bubbles and all these hair ties and edge control, all these different things, and I'm walking through the aisles and I'm listening to the music, and the music that's playing is absolutely profane, talking about pee popping. Y'all know what I mean when I say pee popping, and F words flying. This was a Sunday, no less. Elderly people.
Now, pay attention to what she's about to say. Pay attention to what she's about to say, because she's talking about she's going in this convenience store. It's not like a Walmart or a Target. It's a convenience store. She's shopping, and she hears this profanity in the music. Just pay attention.
People are there, and this store has this music going. Now, this was in an inner city area, this store. And so I'm like looking around, seeing if anybody else is as perturbed as I am by the fact that they're playing this music so loudly over the speakers. So I just said, you know what, I have to say something. I go up to the counter, and there's an Asian man sitting there. And I said, sir, are you the manager here? He says, oh, I'm one of the owners. I said, okay, sir, I have a question.
So it's an Asian man? Oh, whoa. So the Asian people that you were just bigging up, and the Asian people that you have all this reverence for, and how we need to act more like Asians. So it's an Asian man playing that music. That music is being played by an Asian. That's what the music is. It is being played by an Asian. And somehow, because an Asian man is playing this music in his store, it's a problem with our culture. Now, look at how she finds a way to blame us for the actions of this Asian man and the music he chose to play.
Is this a family store? He said, yeah, this is a family store. He said, all kinds of families come here. I said, yeah, I see that. I see some elderly people and some children. He said, yeah, everybody comes here. I said, sir, do you think it's appropriate to have profanity coming across your speakers on a Sunday, no less? while children are walking through the aisles and parents, grandparents are here shopping? You think that's appropriate? And he said, well, I don't have XM radio or Sirius radio. We just play a playlist from YouTube. I said, sir, well, it's all fine and good that you're playing this from YouTube, but why are you playing music that has profanity in it? Surely they have playlists on YouTube that are clean cut. Whether you're playing some nice R&B music, or you're playing country music, or you're playing classical music, or 80s or 90s music, you have playlists that you can put in and put no profanity and they will come up. And he was just like, yeah, but this is the playlist. I said, so you're okay then? Because you keep telling me it's the playlist. You're okay just playing this stuff, totally disregarding the fact that there are children walking around here. So this is not a family store. And I kept thinking about it. And you know why he felt comfortable playing that kind of music? Because it was an inner city store that was predominantly patronized by Black people.
Really? No. No. I can't say no enough. Absolutely not. No. We are not going to sit here and say the unprofessional, derogatory behavior that this Asian man is displaying in his store, he is choosing to display. And when she said it, he wasn't like, oh yeah, ma'am, I'm sorry, let me change the music. He's going back and forth with her. This Asian dude is going back and forth about him playing unprofessional music in this store. And it's our fault. It is our fault because it's in the inner city. No. What? Man, I can't say no enough. I literally cannot say no enough. You see how she found a way to blame us? She found if that is not a reach, I'm gonna start calling her Mr. Fantastic or something like that. And what's that Incredible Woman, Invisible, whatever, from the Incredibles, where she be stretching and reaching. If that's not a reach, it's our fault because he's playing unprofessional music, and you got to argue with him, and it's our fault. It's our cultural problem because he's being unprofessional. This Asian man is being unprofessional and playing that music, and you want to blame it on Elastigirl. Thank you. You want to blame it on us? No, we're not going to do that. No, this is an person who's not a part of our culture doing this, displaying this type of behavior. And this comes from the fact that it seems like every little thing you want to put on you want to put every little thing on us. This is why I'm saying you're not having this conversation in good faith. When you try to correct a culture, because there's things that we have in our culture that we can improve on, we can fix on. But when you do it, when we do it, we always have it in good faith. That's the way to fix a problem. You fix the problem by having it in good faith. When you don't have it in good faith, you wind up saying some things, a lot of things, mostly all the things that are untrue, that are out of context, that's in bad perspective, in bad faith. You tend to make many bad faith arguments. That's a bad faith argument. To say, oh, because he's in a Black neighborhood, look at the unprofessional behavior of this Asian man, and we're going to say this Asian man's unprofessional behavior is the fault of Black people. Okay, we're not going to do that, because when he acts professional, y'all don't want to give the credit to Black people for the fact that he's acting professional. So what you're not going to do is you're not going to say because he's acting unprofessional, it's because of us. There's a thing that we culturally have been changing where we've been rejecting holding other people's L's. We're not going to do that anymore, where other people get to go around and do certain things, and when they're negative, it's somehow on us. It's our fault when something is negative. Only when it's negative. Because if he was playing classical music, jazz, and everything was all clean and everything was nice and professional, you wouldn't say that's because of the inner city. You wouldn't say that's because of Black America. You wouldn't say that's because of the culture. You would say, oh, look at the Asian culture. Look at how professional he is. Look at how clean and neat and classy they are. You would give them their credit for their good behavior, but when it's bad, you want to be all like, well, he is in the ghetto, so I mean, that is the ghetto culture. No. If y'all want to hold y'all W's, y'all better hold y'all L's with a firm ass grip. Y'all don't get to pass y'all L's on us, and then y'all want to hold y'all W's. No, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that anymore. That's done. That's over. Let's continue. Oh, no, hell no. The Asian man that you were sitting up there bigging up this whole broadcast, this whole video.
It wouldn't have been up in Northwest somewhere. It wouldn't have been up in Bethesda or Chevy Chase if they had a beauty supply store like that up in there. He wouldn't have done that. And the fact that we as Black people, the fact that I was the only one to go up to the counter and say, sir, and I wasn't nasty with him or anything. I just was like in total disbelief. The fact that one of the parents who was holding their daughter's hands didn't walk up to that man and say, hey, you should turn this off. My kid is in here. Like, what are you doing? We show people how to treat us when we say nothing, when foolishness happens. So as I'm getting ready to walk away, because I'm like, you know what, if this guy is going to keep playing this stuff, I'm out of here and I'm not buying anything. He waved to me and he says, I'm changing it. And he changed it. To his credit, he changed it. But it bothered me that I even had to say anything. Like, he didn't have the foresight to know that, hey, even if something slipped on the air, slipped on the speaker and it had profanity, he immediately scrambled and turned it off. He didn't even see that the sense in doing that until I said something. We don't care. We don't care that young children, impressionable children are around. We don't care. One of the other things
that we don't care, because you claim, and this is all anecdotal, you can't prove this, but you claim that you went to a store and you were the only one that you know of who said something about the music. Now it's an indicative issue in the culture, and we don't care about the kids. You see how she just because an Asian man did something unprofessional, according to her, and she was the only one who said anything about it, is indicative of the fact that we don't care about the culture. Man.
That I've noticed is that we don't have.
She's saying we a lot, y'all. She's saying we a lot.
Real parents.
Huh?
Now, when I say these things, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we have incredible parents in the Black community. For those of you who are watching, you're going to say, I'm a real parent. Yes. Well, if this does not affect you or apply to you, then leave it on the table. Just leave it there. This does not affect you. It does not apply to you. It's not going to apply to each and every one of you. But I'm talking about the individuals, and you know the individuals I'm referring to when I say we don't have real parents. We have children masquerading as parents, raising children and grandchildren. I know a grandmother who is in her 30s. I see young boys, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, standing outside, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, hollering at other young ladies who are 11, 12, 13, and calling them the B word or calling them hoe. I've seen this with my own eyes in our community.
Where do you see that? Man, where do you see that? I don't know. I'm not sitting up there. I didn't grow up in like the nicest neighborhood. I didn't grow up in like a really upscale neighborhood. It was actually I don't want to sit up there and like do too much, but I didn't grow up in the nicest neighborhood. Okay. It wasn't necessarily the trenches all the way, but I did not grow up in the best of neighborhoods. And I've never seen 10, 11-year-old. I ain't never seen no 11-year-olds just sitting on the corner, smoking weed and cigarettes, hollering at other 10-year-old and 11-year-old girls. Where do you see that? I don't see that. I don't know where you getting this from. Where you got 11-year-olds just sitting on the corner, catcalling other 11-year-olds while they smoking cigarettes. Damn. Your stereotypes gonna gotta get a lot better than that. it's going to have to get a lot better than that. Okay. I don't know where she's getting that from, because I've never seen that. I mean, in Chicago, I've never seen that. So I don't know where she's getting this from. 11-year-old sitting on the corner. 11. I'm not talking about young, 17, 16, where they are old enough to even ditch class. I'm talking about 11. If an 11-year-old does not show up to class, the teachers are going to call the parents. The principal is going to call the parents and say, ma'am, your child didn't show up to class today. So at 11, you're saying you just be seeing in our community, this is just the norm, where we got 11-year-olds just on the corner catcalling other 11-year-olds and calling them the B words. And ma'am, y'all lives got to get a lot better. Lord have mercy.
Have too many parents who want to be their children's friend more than their parent. We have devolved as a community in the sense that we had a time, and I'm sure many of you over a certain age remember, that if you messed up as a kid and your neighbor found out, I don't know how it is here in the States, but in the Bahamas, your neighbor used to discipline you. The neighbor used to yuck you up real quick. You might get spanked, especially if you were like on the other islands in the Bahamas. You just might get spanked by your neighbor. And if you were stupid enough, I almost said bold enough, but if you were stupid enough to go and say to your mother or your father that person spanked, then you get another cut hip. Where you going reporting somebody because they tried to help you and in essence help me as the parent. These days, when you have a relative or
now she said, I don't know, this is in the Bahamas. That was also in Black America as well too. I know for a fact that's in Black America. Now, it wasn't to a degree where a random neighbor can physically discipline you, not necessarily to that degree, but hey, if a friend of the family or something like that, if a kid was misbehaving and a close family friend, an uncle, a auntie, a grandma, somebody like that, a grandpa, if they had to check one of their family members, it would be done. And if you told your parents like, hey, grandpa, he gave me a whooping or something, you would get a second one. Because why does your grandpa and your grandma have to whoop you? So that's not indicative of the Bahamas or wherever she's from. Now, we wasn't doing a thing where a neighbor can just snatch you up and whoop you. Now, okay, that's a little bit much. Where just any grown adult can just beat you. No, we was never on that page. No, we were a little bit more protective than that, though.
friend or a neighbor or a virtual stranger trying to help, they get trashed.
Byron police charged Cambria Darby with child neglect. The Walmart employee who recorded the video has since been fired.
She placed the boy in a cart basket, only wearing a diaper, and that's when she started recording.
You know, she was being like very rude and all that. So
Teachers are quitting all over.
That situation, let's take that back. That situation, it was a Black woman, because it went really fast. The news clip went really fast. It was a Black woman who, I don't know if she was trying to make a video go viral. I don't know if she was having a mental breakdown, but she had a baby. The baby had no clothes on except a diaper. And she's just in the freezer aisle getting ice cream and pizza and all that stuff. And a bunch of other Black people gathered around and was all like, hey, what are you doing? This baby cannot just be here in this aisle that's very, very cold wearing a diaper and only a diaper. What are you doing? And the Walmart employee recorded the situation and posted it. She got fired because as an employee, you cannot pick up your phone and record it and go viral, because then the other lady, I guess she threatened to sue, so the Walmart lady got fired. Walmart is not a part of Black culture necessarily. The fact of the matter is that other people around looked at that lady and said, hey, your behavior is improper. What are you doing bringing a baby out here in only a diaper? In Black America, you can't just bring a baby in a store and the baby is essentially naked. and the baby only has a diaper on, and people not check you about a baby being naked outside. So the literal fact that people checked her about her baby being naked shows that our culture does not condone that type of behavior, that type of behavior is not indicative of our culture. Is not. All right, so but let's continue.
All over the country because they're fed up with not only low pay, but having to play warden and parole officer and corrections officer with children in their classes. They have no power to deal with abusive students. They have administrations that do not support them. As a matter of fact, they'll quickly dismiss a teacher, fire a teacher before they get rid of a bad student. You have kids fighting teachers in school. Who wants to go to work every single day and be abused and have no recourse? In the case of that physics teacher, the student came back 30 minutes later and apologized. And I understand from a subsequent news report that that boy's mother also sent in an email apologizing to that teacher. But why are we expecting teachers to be skilled in de-escalation? They're there to teach. They call that man, that teacher, a hero. I don't know about that. I felt like bad behavior was rewarded that day. And people are saying, oh,
okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's something that, of course, we're not going to sit here and condone. But like I said, let's put that into context, because anytime a black student acts out in class, they turn it into what is the culture doing? What's wrong with the culture? But they don't turn. Now, I'm going to show you a video very similar, and they don't turn this into a culture issue. Look at this white kid.
I stop talking. You do not come up to me, Dr. Shu. Get my face.
What you're watching is a video that's gone viral, showing the explosive confrontation between a Lancaster student and a teacher. We're protecting the student's identity since we haven't confirmed his age.
All right. Go sit down.
The teacher asks him to sit down, but the student appears to get in his face while yelling obscenities.
You think you are?
Toward the end of the video, he yells the N-word.
And that's interesting because this teacher is Asian. This is an Asian teacher and a white boy, and a white dude called the Asian teacher the N-word. So that's kind of that's a little interesting. But you see how this white dude is sitting up there raging out, getting in his face, and look at what he does then. Now he's breaking the sink.
He kicks the wall and dumps the trash.
Kicking the wall, dumping the trash out. Look at the way he's acting. And nobody's going to sit here and say, oh, well, you know, they have white kids got a culture problem and it's a culture problem. Nobody's going to sit here and say that. This white kid is calling this black dude the N-word, which goes to show how white people look at all non-white people. So this should be a wake-up call to the Asian community, because y'all not a nigga, but y'all not white. And they kind of look at all white people, all non-white people, as you kind of a nigga. You're not a nigga, but you a nigga. So this should be a wake-up call, because there's not a single black person in this situation, and he's sitting up there using the N-word. But that's very telling. But she's not going to say that. That's not indicative of the white community, though. They're not going to blame white culture. Where are the parents? They're not going to say that about them, though.
Oh, you know, you did the right thing. He did the right thing by sitting there and being abused? No, I totally disagree. There's never any excuse for that type of violence. And I know that had the roles been reversed and that man had pulled back and punched that boy, he would have been fired. He would have been called a racist. And maybe that's why he sat there and he took it. Who knows?
This is coming. He would have been called a racist. Yeah, that sound like that coon talk. Not gonna lie. That's that where if a white man defends himself, he's automatically labeled as a racist. No. That wouldn't automatically label him as a racist. That comes from the talk of anything a white person does automatically makes them a racist. No, that's not what we say. That's that kind of white defending talk where you're defending the racism of white people. White people are always falsely labeled as racist. No. Kind of telling on yourself as if we didn't know, but it's just further confirmation.
But it would have been completely over for him and his career had he fought back. But that type of abuse is exactly why teachers are starting to fight these kids back. I don't care how good of a teacher you are. I don't care how committed you are to the cause. I don't care how much you say you were meant to be a teacher. There's only so much abuse you can take. And this is precisely why so many teachers are quitting the profession altogether. And our kids are going to be the ones who suffer. And our society is going to be the one that suffers. I'm going to do a video on this
I think maybe teachers might be quitting a little bit faster, not because of Jamal and, Kevon. I think they might be quitting faster because when you take the cell phone away from Connor comes back to class with an M16 and starts mowing everybody down. I think the problem, it might not be Jamal and Shaniqua. I think it might be Ethan coming back to class with an AK-47 and assassinating everybody in the school. I think that that's probably a bigger problem and a bigger reason as to why teachers might be feeling unsafe. So she's saying the teachers should fight back. Well, I agree. Should the teachers shoot back at the school shooters? Because anytime we talk about, teachers aren't being respected. Yeah, the teachers might be being disrespected a lot in the Black community, but you know what? They're not being shot to death. The teachers are being disrespected in the Black community and they're being mowed down in the white community. So let's just put that into its proper perspective there. Let's put it into its proper context, because I'm pretty sure they'd much rather Jamal and much rather Kevon cuss them out than have Ethan sit up there and blow their head off. I don't know. I don't know. Because Ethan's not going to curse him out. He's just going to pull out an M16 and start mowing everybody down. So I just think that we need to put the whole issue when it comes to teachers in class in its proper perspective. Because nobody's sitting up there trying to say that school shootings are a part of white culture. So if you want to say that what that boy did, which is wrong, not saying it's not, but if you want to say what he did was wrong and it's a part of the culture, then you have to say that Ethan Crumbley going into his school and shooting everybody, trying to kill as many people as possible, is a part of white culture. You have to say that. All right. So, and then when you compare apples to apples, white people got a much bigger problem. We need to be focusing in on them.
In a few weeks, just kind of a deep dive into what's going on with the teaching profession and what they have to deal with. So if that's something that interests you, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell so you know when I upload that video. The final thing I'm going to say today, and this has been a very long video, but I did not want to condense this because I had so much on my mind and in my heart to talk about. But I want to label this section "No Laughing Matter." What I found is that we take in the Black community such delight in tearing each other down. There is a huge difference between objectively critiquing someone in love because you care about them and you care about the collective, and just tearing someone down. Look at the entertainment world in the past few months, particularly the comedy world, and how over the past 2 months we've seen comedians going after one another in the most vile way, saying the most mean-spirited things to one another. I recently watched a video with Cat Williams, and I discussed that here on the channel. You can check that video out as well. And then later with Monique, who just can't seem to get out of her own way. After her interview on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay, she went on stage, as she typically does, and once again doubled down, insulting Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry and so many other people, and saying,
okay, let's talk about that. Because there's been a narrative that Cat Williams and Monique shouldn't have said anything. And they shouldn't have said anything because now it looks bad on the culture because they called out them being mistreated by the industry. The industry mistreating them. And when they called it out, now it's bad on the culture, and now they shouldn't have said something about it. Now, oh, comedians are tearing other comedians down. What? No. Let's not do, no, we're not going to do that. First off, like I said, you're blending celebrities. These are top tier A-list comedians. Cat Williams is an A-list comedian. Monique is an A-list comedian. Okay, you can barely name any comedians alive, especially that's on a level higher than Cat Williams. You can female comedians that's on a level higher than Monique. You pretty much can't. So you're talking about A-list celebrity comedians, and you're making it seem like what they're doing is representing everybody. No, it's not. First off, I don't think they were wrong for that. If they have been done wrong by Tyler Perry or Oprah, they have the right to address that. If rumors have been spread on them and have hurt their careers, they have the right to address that. So, okay, what do you? I don't understand how that's something that we need to fix, and we're always tearing each other down. No, they're correcting people tearing each other down. That's number one. And number two, these are people that we don't. These are A-list celebrities. These people aren't indicative of the average Black American. That doesn't even make sense. Oh, shout out to the super chat, the super sticker. MC23, thank you very much for the super sticker, and thank you Cyberdyne for the cash app. I saw your cash app. Thank you very much, brother. But okay, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. This off the screen.
Saying the most disgusting things. I mean, I thought they were bad before, but they just went a step further. I don't know anybody who gets comedy from Monique. Nobody pays to see her do stand-up comedy. They pay to see stand-up grievances. But what saddens me is the amount of people who
Did she think that was funny? Okay. I think she thought that was funny.
Support her and defend her actions. And it really is symptomatic of what we see inside of our communities. We like bad behavior. We tolerate it. We think it's funny. We think it's cute. We have a tendency to celebrate this type of behavior because we view someone like a Monique as the underdog, you know, up against a machinery that is more powerful than her. I think there's also a more insidious quality. I think that a lot of us take delight in seeing someone who we view as powerful or successful being taken down a notch or two. We love seeing the mighty fall. And I think our desire to see that definitely clouds our objectivity. As for the way forward, I think it's high time that many of us.
No. The thing is that in Black America, we have a thing of Black America has, in our culture, FBA culture, we have a unique respect for the underdog. We have a unique respect for people fighting against a system of oppression, for people fighting against injustice. It's not that, oh, you guys just want to see a successful person fall. No. We have a thing where we will cheer on somebody taking up a higher force because we understand most people won't do that. And she's saying this because culturally, she's taught to, hey, just comply. Just shut up and acquiesce to the higher power, to the higher force, to the system. Don't buck, don't resist, comply. So we have a unique respect, not just to say just to be a renegade and a rebel for anything, but we have a unique respect. One of the reasons why a lot of Black people supported Monique with what she was saying and doing, and Cat Williams as well too, is because we have a unique respect for when someone is mistreated, them standing up for themselves, defending themselves, defending their dignity and their honor and their respect, and calling out wrong even when the grain is against you. Even when you're going against the grain, we have a respect for that. We have a cultural respect for that. That is a part of our tradition. That is a part of our belief. So we have a respect for that. Other groups of people don't, because that's not a part of their belief, because that's not a part of their tradition. They have a tradition of acquiesce. They have a tradition of comply. They have a tradition of turn the other cheek and get along. And the higher power, they tend to look at people of higher status and of higher power as almost deities, as royalty. We don't have this blinded thing by looking at somebody who has riches and fame and gold and saying they can do no wrong because they're in a higher place in life. So we have a unique respect for the underdog. So that's really the situation with Monique, because she can't say Monique is wrong for saying what she's saying, but it's just she shouldn't have said it. She can't say what Oprah did to Monique wasn't wrong. What Tyler Perry did to Monique wasn't wrong. She can't say these things are not wrong, but it's wrong for Monique to call it out. What Netflix did wasn't wrong, but it's wrong for Monique to call it out. We don't feel that way. Shout out to SP. Thank you very much for the super chat saying, Afro Elite, keep bringing the facts. My brother, thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. But let's continue. Let's continue.
Us in the Black community, stop giving our own people space to destroy our communities, to destroy our culture, and to destroy all the things that our ancestors worked so hard for. All the sacrifices that they made are being upended because some people are just being selfish and don't care about the greater good. It's time for us to stop being a safe haven for bad behavior. It's time for us to challenge politicians who want to keep us locked in our victimhood and depend.
We are a safe haven for bad behavior. A safe haven for bad behavior. Really.
On them, who think you're too stupid to know right from wrong. Someone watched a video of mine last year. It was this video up here, and said, good video. Too bad the people who need to hear it won't hear it. And my thought was, some seeds drop in good soil and some seeds drop on concrete. But I'm a firm believer that someone's going to come along and kick that seed off the pavement and into soil. And whether that happens today, tomorrow, in a year, 3 years, or 5 years from now, the person who is meant to get the message will get it. And I cannot concern myself about the people who've closed their ears and their minds to the message. If that's what they choose to do, that's what they choose to do. That is life. But it will affect the right person. It'll make them think. So here's my question of the day, ladies and gents. What is the biggest challenge facing Black culture today as you see it? Very simple question. Drop your comments down below, and everyone is invited to participate in this conversation.
All right, so we're done with that. We're done. That's it. Oh, Lord. I appreciate y'all sticking with us. I appreciate y'all sticking with us. We had a lot to cover. We had a lot to discuss, but you guys stay with us, and I appreciate you guys for that. You want to talk about fixing the culture, improving the culture. You want to talk about that? Good. Fine. I love our culture. I want our culture to evolve. I want our culture to improve. And I understand the way to do that is to have conversations about our culture in its proper perspective, using historical context, using situational context, because what you can't do is you can't say, well, we used to dress like this in the 1950s and we used to dress like this all the way back in the day, and I don't understand what has happened. Okay, well, you have to understand that there was bombs in the MOVE Act that was dropped on the neighborhoods. You have to understand that there was crack cocaine implanted in the neighborhoods, and there was a welfare act deliberately manufactured to break up the Black family. You have to understand there was a housing crisis in 2008. You have to understand the mass inflation. You have to take all of these things into context so you can understand and find the solution for where we need to go. Because you can't take a problem out of its context and say, well, let's just look at the raw problem, because how you start is how you finish. If you don't start the problem, if you don't start the conversation in its proper context, you're not going to be able to find the solution for that. Put my logo back up. I forgot about that. You won't. So when we have these conversations, I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should have these conversations, but you should not have these conversations if you are not going to put the situation in its proper context. Okay, you can't say, well, look at how we used to dress back in the 1940s and now we're sagging our pants. That's because of fatherlessness. Hold on, let's look at all of the things. How did the average American dress 100 years ago versus how they dress today? And you can see a massive change in the dress of everybody. Okay, what music did they listen to versus what music they listen to today? Because believe it or not, white people listen to more hip-hop than black people. When you go to those concerts, it's mostly white people at those concerts. So the whole, oh, y'all listen to degenerate music, white people be loving that stuff. Okay, it's not marketed to them like it is to us, and they try to make us the face of it, but white people be listening to hella shit. All right, I didn't even mean to curse, but they be listening to a lot of stuff. So let's not even play that game. All right, I'm gonna get to y'all super chats. I appreciate y'all, but you have to have it in its proper context. How do we come from? Where did we come from? What has happened? And then where are we? And then what we need to do to fix it. When you have things in its proper context, then you can develop solutions. When you take things out of its proper context and then just start talking about the people, then you're having the conversation in bad faith. Then you're going to have people justifying our mistreatment, our subjugation, our oppression, and say things like, well, you know, that is just the way you guys are. You guys are just inherently bad people because you're not putting our situation into context. First off, you're saying everything negative is our culture, and it's not. And then you're not even taking the negative aspects of the community. You're not even putting that into proper context. So you're conflating negative things celebrities do and then negative things hood rats and dusty dudes do, and you're saying that's the culture, and then you're not even taking all of those things into context. So of course the opposition, the dominant society is going to look at that and be like, yeah, you see, and you get mad with the police shoot you, look at you. That's what they're going to say, because you're denigrating, really is what you're doing. You're denigrating the culture, which gives the justification for our mistreatment. That's why when you discuss the culture and improvement, you have to do it in good faith, because in bad faith, it will be counterproductive and it will be very problematic. This is why we did the for the culture thing, so we can have the conversation about our culture in good faith with historical context. Let me get to some of the super chats. Shout out to Val. I appreciate you, Val Williams, for the super chat. Thank you so very much. Much appreciated. Shout out to Carla Lockard for the super chat. I appreciate you, all of you guys, all of y'all super chats. I appreciate every single last one of them. Walter Wilborn for the super chat. Thank you so very much for that. I appreciate that. And then we have Antithesis with a super chat saying for the culture, $20 for the culture. Exactly. This is why we made that. Okay. Notice if you go back to listen to the for the culture, when you go back and listen, notice you're not going to really hear me, Black Alpha, or ZZ. You're not really going to hear us talk about ourselves. We didn't use that as an opportunity to discuss ourselves. We use that as an opportunity to discuss the culture and things that we see in the culture, problems, and put it in its proper perspective so we can develop solutions so it can evolve. Shout out to our good brother Hurricane IQ for the super sticker as well too. I appreciate you, brother. Now before we go, I also wanted to make this announcement live on air while we have all these people in the room, you beloved brothers and sisters. I said that the end of Black History Month, which is this Thursday, I wanted to do something where I wanted to get a whole bunch of people together. So I've been reaching out to people. I've been getting people's schedules together. I wanted to do like another FBA Jeopardy thing. We have another game that I know you guys are really going to enjoy. And we have live call-ins. So this would be like the first game thing where we'll have like the live call-in things where people can call in, leave a comment. I want to let you guys see the thumbnail for it. And not only will you see the thumbnail, I'm also going to be dropping, let me drop, hold on. I'm also going to, come on, be dropping the link for it as well too. So right here, the link for this Thursday is right here. It's not, so this is the thumbnail for it, brothers and sisters. Let me take this off the screen so you can see it. Bam. There we go, y'all. There we go. It took me a minute to get everybody's schedule together. You know, I wanted to get our main people. Of course, we was going to bring some familiar faces back. Y'all ain't seen Marcel in a long time. It's been a long time since Marcel's been on this channel. You know what I'm saying? It's about time he's come back. So he wanted to participate. Everybody's schedule is locked in. Everybody's locked in, asking about it. I'm setting up the games. We got a new game coming up that you guys are really going to love. You know, so y'all make sure this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that you guys are here. You guys participate. We're trying to close Black History Month off on a positive note, on a good note. So we want everybody to join us. We want everybody to participate. It's going to be a fun time. That's why I said community event too, because it's not just going to be us. We're going to have other people. They're going to be, you know, that's why we're doing the call-in things. So people get to call in and they get to feel a part of this. They get to feel welcome in this, you know. So this is what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. We've been working on, you know, and we got other stuff. If y'all think this is it, we got other stuff coming up as well too that you guys are definitely going to enjoy. You guys are definitely going to love. So I know you guys were excited. I wanted to announce it tonight, put the link there tonight. You know what I'm saying? So it can start getting circulated. You guys can start liking it, get those pre-likes up, because those are very, very important. Get those pre-likes up, brothers and sisters. And you guys should be. Oh, another thing I want to say, shout out to, because he's been doing great, fantastic numbers. Shout out to our good brother Sage. I'm going to show you a small little clip real quick.
Do you night and day, and you keep running till you find your way, till it all collides, till it all collides. You do you night and day, and you keep running till
his album. His album's doing great numbers. Shout out to Sage. Go to wherever you can find music, Spotify, Apple Music. Go to it wherever you listen to your music. Assis is what is the album? I'm trying to think of what the album is called, because I talked to him the other day. Numbers through the roof. All right, you guys are really loving. I remember asking what was your favorite song of his. It's called Shades of Black. His album Shades of Black. Great numbers. If you guys want to listen to something Black History Month, especially by Black independent artists, you guys definitely go check that out. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Music, wherever. If people still use Pandora, I don't know. If you listen to that, go to that, listen to that. So it's really good, soothing vibes. You know what I'm saying? It's something you can really vibe to on a late night cruise or whatever the case is, to really set the mood. There's a lot of music there for the brothers to kind of set the mood for the ladies too. So you know what I'm saying? So y'all definitely go check that out. All right. Check that out. Also follow me on my various social media platforms, which is Afro Elite on Instagram and Afro Elite on Twitter. And the links to both of those are in the description below. So follow me on my social media, links to both of them in the description below. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't done so. Double check to make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that notification bell. Make sure you guys do all of those things. All of those things. All right. I appreciate every single last one of you guys for doing that. That really helps the reach and the growth of the channel. For everything you all do, thank you so very much. And now, with that being said, my brothers and my sisters, B1 salute to every single last one of you all, and you all have a good one.